There is a new number one in the NASCAR Cup Series as it was announced that Kurt Busch will drive the number one Monster Energy Chevrolet Camaro for Chip Ganassi Racing. In addition, crew chief McMccall will remain on top of the number one pit box for the 2019 season. So far, the career for the NASCAR veteran has been a wildly successful one, as starting out driving for the Cat in the Hat when they were actually successful, Kurt Busch was able to win 14 races, earn 43 top fives, 69 top 10 finishes, and capture the 2004 NASCAR Cup Series championship. He quickly rose as one of NASCAR's top superstars, and this continued at Team Penske. That is, until Kurt Busch's anger issues ultimately saw him get cut by the captain. Honestly, how could you blame Roger Penske for releasing him? At the time, the elder Busch brother was as much of a media circus as Colin Kaepernick is today in the National Football League.
Who's racing you?
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions.
I'm there! I'm there! Holy behind me! I'm down! Oh man, cool down. Let's finish and get some points here.
Every week, it would be a new story about how Kurt ran his mouth or got into an altercation on pit road. With that said, however, Kurt Busch turned the corner driving for backmarker teams such as Phoenix Racing and Furniture Row Racing and became a NASCAR superstar, a solid driver once again. His latest tenure, driving the number 41 for Stewart-Haas Racing, was no exception to success, as he was able to win 7 races, advance to the round of 8 in 2015, 2016, and 2018, as well as claim the 2017 Daytona 500 championship, breaking a 17-year losing streak on plate tracks. Entering the 2019 season, Kurt Busch has won 30 races, earned 137 top 5s, 280 top 10 finishes, 9,521 laps led, and has a NASCAR Cup Series championship and a Daytona 500 trophy to go along with it. In my opinion, this is a great recipe to get into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and it's safe to say Kurt Busch has had a very successful career at this point. As for Kurt Busch's next venture, this opens up a lot of new possibilities for his next chapter, not only in NASCAR, but for motorsports in general. On the NASCAR side, the move will ensure that Kurt Busch will retire on his own terms within the sport. While Tony Stewart and Gene Haas were fairly loyal to the outlaw, there was a lot of uncertainty on the long-term future. Over the last few seasons, we've seen one-year renewals that typically were signed towards the end of the year. I think a lot of the uncertainty was with the development of prospect Cole Custer. After all, he was destined to take over the Haas-sponsored car whenever a spot opened up. With that said, however, Cole Custer hasn't performed to his full potential, which provided a setback and allowed Kurt Busch to sign a few more one-year extensions. While the Ganassi deal is only one season, I see some flexibility, especially with the fact that Ross Chastain is just starting his tenure in the Xfinity Series. Unless Ganassi rushes him up, like with Kyle Larson in 2013, or if Kurt Busch indeed leaves after 2019, Chastain will likely race 2 to 3 years in the Xfinity Series before getting the call-up, giving Kurt Busch a sizable window to end his stellar NASCAR Cup Series career. Even if he does retire after this deal, this move opens the door for Kurt Busch to race in other sanctioned motorsports leagues. While the NASCAR program is the main focus, Chip Ganassi owns multiple IndyCar and IMSA race teams and has seen great successes with both programs. Back in 2014, Kurt Busch became the first driver since Tony Stewart to run the Memorial Day double, and he finished a solid 6th place in his first Indy 500. In addition, the Outlaw has driven in 2 Rolex 24-hour sports car races, finishing 3rd in 2008. Certainly, Kurt Busch seems to be open to extending his racing career to those other branches of motorsports, and Chip Ganassi would no doubt grant him those wishes. Well, unless he reverts back to his 2004 to 2011 self and angers his new boss. But with that said, for the elder Busch brother, this move makes sense for both his final NASCAR years as well as his long-term future in racing. As for Chip Ganassi Racing, this move is absolutely fantastic for that organization and the long-term future going forward. As we all know, Kyle Larson is a transcended talent within the NASCAR Cup Series, and he is a wheelman in whatever he drives. In fact, I got to see him race midgets at the Dome in St. Louis 1 week ago. He put on an absolute clinic in the 30-lap feature and nearly beat Christopher Bell in the closing laps. With that said, however, countless times throughout Kyle Larson's career, especially last season, we've seen his inability to close out races and find victory lane. Tell me if you've heard this story before. Kyle Larson puts on a thrilling performance, loses the lead late in the race, and ends up the bridesmaid at the race's conclusion. I have firsthand witnessed Kyle Larson end up a bridesmaid 3 times in person, all occurring in 2018. He needs to develop some long-run speed and performance similar to Chevrolet teammate Chase Elliott, so he doesn't have to outperform the race car every single weekend. Adding Kurt Busch to that equation, I think this can help Kyle Larson get back on track after a greatly disappointing year and start becoming the true NASCAR superstar he was hyped up to be. Kurt Busch is a major improvement from his predecessor, Jamie McMurray. While McMurray wasn't a bad driver, his only major accomplishments were 2 Crown Jewel wins in 2010, as well as 3 seasons where he made the playoffs on points. Meanwhile, Kurt Busch brings the entire package. He is a proven driver behind the wheel and knows how to consistently put together results on a weekly basis. For once, it feels like Kyle Larson has a teammate on his level performance-wise, and it should help his driver development going forward. In addition, I doubt we will see very many learning curves from Kurt Busch at the start of 2019. In the past, he has switched to teams like Team Penske, Furniture Racing, and Stewart-Haas Racing to have decent success right away and not have the setbacks of getting settled in. As a result, we can expect to see results sooner than later, and hopefully the 1 and 42 can perform well starting at Daytona. This kind of veteran presence is exactly what Chip Ganassi needs to go from a B-grade team to an A-grade team and improve on the speed charts as well as on the scoreboard. As for my predictions for Kurt Busch in 2019, I actually see him finding some success and most importantly, matching his car number on the scoreboard a lot more times than his predecessor. My expectations for the elder Busch brother next season would be to earn 1 win, earn 7 top 5s, 20 top 10 finishes, and at the very least advance to the round of 12 in the playoffs. I see Kurt Busch having similar success that he had at Stewart-Haas Racing, and he should be right up front with his brother Kyle more times than not. So the bottom line, Kurt Busch is making the move best for himself going forward, and Chip Ganassi Racing is taking a giant step forward to improving its NASCAR program. It will be interesting to see how the relationship builds over time and what opportunities it can bring for both parties. Kurt Busch is likely going to the NASCAR Hall of Fame if he does retire after the 2019 season, but his racing career is far from over. Thank goodness he isn't hanging up his helmet anytime soon. After all, it prevents him from pursuing his other future career.
And Coach Madden, he let me dress out as a Cub for the day, did all the pre-game exercises, took batting practice with Schwarber, and shacked some balls in the outfield. So really a fun day as a Cub.
Seriously, Kurt, don't quit your day job anytime soon. So anyways, this is NASCAR Racing Fan 2015 signing out. And just remember, life's a beach and then you drive.